君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角何年経っても言えない後悔したって今はないでも言葉はここまで出てるのSummertime海岸通りを歩きたいドライブだってしてみたい足し線の合わせてほしいのSummertime君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角 海岸通りを歩きたいドライブだってしてみたい足し線の合わせてほしいのサマータイム君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないででも気持ちが伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちが伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちが伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れる街角何年経っても言えない後悔したって今はないでも言葉はここまで出てるのサマータイム海岸通りを歩きたいドライブだってしてみたい足し線の合わせてほしいのサマータイム君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れない
worst comes to worst, I'll show you my.
Dude, I literally say we're about to go live on mics and you start talking again. That was on mic. Like I had you.
Okay, well, we talked about it.
We're all mic'd up now. We're all mic'd up. Hi. Hi, everybody. How's everybody's days going? How's guys? How's your day?
It's going okay.
Good.
How are all of you?
It's been a productive day, dude. It was weird. I went to bed. I went to bed last night at like a decent hour, thinking I was going to be a responsible adult and get a good amount of sleep. I'm like, I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock tonight. I'm tired. I'm going to get a good amount of sleep. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning and I'm pissed at my body. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and I'm like, you know what? I got paid. F it. And I went and did laundry because I had like a month's worth of laundry built up and I needed to wash some clothes. So I did that. Then I went grocery shopping earlier this morning and I spent 2 hours writing Slime 11. I'm not even done with Slime 11. I'd say I'm about a third of the script done and I'm 11 pages in. Like, now, to be fair, what I'm counting is a third of how much I know I'm going to cover in this episode of content, but there's going to be the stuff that I wrote is covering a lot of stuff that's happening in the beginning, and we're kind of very focused on that. Once we get to the episodes where there's like a bunch of meetings, we're just going to have one quick meeting. It's going to be like a 2 to 3 minute scene, and then I'm skipping a bunch of episodes and getting right to the blood and violence. So that's going to be fun. And I'm going to take my time with some of the dialogue in between and the blood and violence too. I'm going to Hakuro's going to have his moment and have some things to say back and forth with, oh God. I forget your character's name, Sonic. Not important. He didn't stick around long. But
well, he's
yeah.
Not even.
Yeah.
I forget. Is he? Wait, are we talking about Slime or?
Slime. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's kind of.
I mean, to be fair, in solo leveling, your guy didn't stick around for very long either. But still.
Oh, you mean hard? Okay.
He should split. But no, your guy in Slime, he's the character that gets his head chopped off by Hakuro.
I get beheaded. Yeah.
Yeah. Hakuro gives you some head, and then he drops it next to your homie.
No, why? No. I swear, if I see people react that joke, I'm gonna be like, "Why did you?"
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, "It was you, Richard."
It was me. Like, it was me all along. But
don't encourage him.
No head.
Chat.
I mean, he's got a point, but yeah. And then
I'm gonna get ahead on that situation.
You really are.
Jokes.
That's no way to get ahead in life. Yeah. He'll never be the head of a major corporation. Dude, I might just do that. Just have him make like a bunch of jokes after he throws his head down next to his homie. Well, he certainly wasn't getting ahead of the situation. Like, he just starts. He's like, you know what's worse than dad jokes? What? Granddad jokes. And he just starts doing.
Granddad.
He starts doing like
Richie,
jokes with like head. Yeah, it's great.
I actually have an idea for what you could do for like a post credit, like. You know, like the thing where they do like the little blooper thing, it's like different lines, like real quick.
Like alternate lines for like the head
and then
joke
just, like,
theme.
Beep, go to the next joke. Beep, go to the next joke. It's like, stop, please.
Which is funny because that's Ray, and I'm just like, hey Ray, you want to record a bunch of like alternate takes where we're just making like increasingly more and more cringe jokes that feature the word head, and we'll just use them as something at the end. As like a bonus. Yes, let's do that. I love this. I love Grandpa Hakuro just going through and telling granddad jokes. That's so good.
I just want
until we get to that part in season 3.
Let me die.
Until we get to that part in season 3 where he finally meets his daughter and he goes, "Oh my God, I can tell dad jokes!" Like he's so. I want that to be a thing. He's like, I can tell dad jokes.
I was starting to run out of head jokes.
I was like, "Oh, that's so good. I was running out of granddad jokes. Now I have a fresh supply."
Fresh supply.
And
Fresh supply.
And then all
Getting
the
ahead of
just
yourself.
like,
Don't lose your head. Come on, man. You got to stay ahead of the situation.
The body's not even cold. The body's not even the head's not even decapitated yet, guys. Come on.
Dude, is his body even cold yet? I mean,
no.
I didn't really check the temperature, but it's definitely the warm is spilling out.
We should really write these down.
No, we should not. We should not. I'll definitely get there. I'll definitely get there. Here's the funny part, right? Here's the really, really funny part is like, I'm going to cut certain parts of this entire episode. I'm going to cut like certain parts that people are really looking forward to out and putting them in the next episode. Specifically, like Rimuru's Megiddo.
Cliff-kun them?
We're skipping Rimuru's Megiddo, his process and evolution to Demon Lord. He's just going to sleep and waking up as a Demon Lord and going, "What the fuck happened?" And so we'll get the recap of what happened from Rimuru's side in the next episode, so that we have like a chunk of content to go over, because I want to have that moment where we get Ranga's perspective on what Rimuru did, and like from Ranga's perspective, it's all like heroic and epic and awesome and badass, and then Great Sage just jumps in and goes, "That's not even remotely how that shit happened," and then we have like some back and forth dialogue between him and the king, or we just immediately cut to the battlefield and people screaming. It's like, let me show you what actually happened, and then we cut back to what took place. It's so like, I want to do it that way because it's like it gives me so much more time to play with things, and then everybody's gonna be mad at me in episode 11 because I cut out the entire Megiddo thing. They're like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, yeah. So, man, maybe if they came over to our Twitch and checked out our content before we get started, they would hear some of these fascinating plot details and not be so mad because they've gotten an inside look into the game. But yeah, guys, good news. Big update on Slime episode 10. As I mentioned, I was writing for episode 11 today. There are 11 pages for episode 11 already, and 9 scenes, well, 8 scenes that are fully written, and I'm working on scene 9, and I've still got a bunch more to do. Also, considering how we're going to take our time with the absolute beatings that are going to take place from the Tempestians killing the church members right outside of Tempest, I think you guys are going to be satisfied with what happens. I think you really, really are. So, good times. And yeah. So, that being said, look forward to that. And episode 10, we're looking at releasing Friday, because episode 10 has been up on YouTube for almost 2 weeks now. We're waiting to see if there's any more stuff we're going to get hit with on the copyright side. It doesn't look like we're getting hit with a lot on the copyright side of things, which is just really, really surprising. I wonder if they know that we have VTubers and they're like, "Oh, we shouldn't come after them. They're working with VTubers who will talk a lot. If this stuff happens and we get these copyright fights, they'll talk to their VTuber friends, and their VTuber friends will put us on blast, and then suddenly the entire anime community hates us." And I'm like, maybe, could be, yeah. We have powerful friends, but no.
It's like, wait, we have powerful friends? We just want more voices for our thing.
Guys, you gotta understand something. We're used to having to fight copyright for like as soon as we upload and it lasting like at least 2 or 3 weeks that we're fighting copyright. The moment we uploaded this, or not being able to monetize, we got that we're able to share monetization, which is a rare and new thing for us, and we're not used to this. And we're sitting here waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it's not dropping, and it's concerning. Things are going well for us. We don't know how to react to that. We're not used to that. What do we do? So we're just going to say F it and release it on Friday. I'll know exactly when on Friday in a little bit, but yeah. All right. Those have been our major updates at the moment. We have work has begun. Scripting has started for at least 1 or 2 scenes for Tanya the Evil, and the first arc, I guess you could say, for Eminence and Shadow Abridged has been fleshed out on the idea stage. We haven't started scripting for it yet. We're going to go through, we're going to watch all of season 1, go through each arc and figure out what we want to do, how we want to do things, what stuff we want to be different, what stuff we want to be kind of the same, and kind of figure our way through that. We've got some silly, fun ideas, especially when it comes to Eminence and Shadow. We've got some ridiculous ideas, and it's just... yeah, we're just gonna have fun with it, guys. That's the whole thing. At the end of the day, it makes us laugh, and that's what's really important. Mm-hmm. If you like it too,
if you're
bonus.
Not laughing, if you're not having fun writing it, then how are you gonna know that
Yeah,
people watching?
That's
are
so
gonna have
true.
fun with it?
That's so true. It's like, hey man, we're writing the things that we think are funny and we like and that make us giggle in the writers' room. And if you don't like it, well, that says more about your sense of humor than ours. When in doubt, blame your audience. All right, but no, in all seriousness, guys, yeah, I hope you guys are looking forward to Slime 10. Solo Leveling 3 is being edited. I don't know how far along it is. I will reach out to Carson and ask him how things are going to just kind of get a touch base, get a little idea of what's what, and then we'll move forward from there. But yeah, that's it. We are picking up with volume 16. As you guys can see, I updated the background and the book, so we're properly on volume 16 now. I had to go in and change the names of the last 2 volume 16 readings that we did because they were saying part 4 and part 5, and I'm like, no, we recently started, so I changed it to part 2 or part 1 and part 2, and so now we're on part 3. Shim is your reader tonight, so we're going to chew through a lot of stuff. We're going to go until about 10 p.m. my time, and then we're going to raid somebody in the stream, and then the 3 of us are going to go watch the new episode of Slime and do our review and reaction. So if you guys are on Patreon, make sure, that's the other thing. Guys, join our Patreon. Even if you're not on the paid tier, we release our reviews and our reactions for free to the people who follow us, join us on the free tier. You get content. So if you want free content, that's where you get it. And if you just want to go ahead and watch Slime 10 right the fuck now, you can. It's up there for all of our paid members. So if you want to send $2 our way every month, you can watch the episode right the frick now. Also, we beta test a lot of ideas in AMV form. So if you would like to see those, join our Patreon. Give us advice on what you think works. Because the reason we don't upload AMVs to the YouTube channel right now is for copyright reasons. Though, if we find out it's okay, cool. We're going to start a playlist of AMVs that are like based on ideas that we have and we're looking for feedback on. Also, last but not least, I need to point this out. We updated the YouTube channel. So if you will go and check out the Fat Dog channel, we've changed things around. We've got playlists ordered differently so it doesn't look like the same thing it was for the last 5-6 years. Please go give it a look. Tell us what you think. Give us your thoughts. We're interested to hear your opinions on that. We took the banner down, so now it's like really quick and easy to look at the playlist content that we have up there. And every abridged playlist that we have we're going to start doing a big we're gonna have up there on the front page. Though I am wondering, do you guys think I should have like the abridged shared universe playlist there? So if I'm like, hey, this is the slime abridged universe or the Log Horizon abridged universe thing, so that way I can put them in like maybe the order of like here the slime episodes and then the Log Horizon episodes and then Konosuba, Spider, Overlord, and just have that all in one playlist. Might be easier that way. That way everybody can kind of watch. Hey, Revan, thank you for the 2 years. Quack, quack, hey. Mo Frappy. But I think that, guys, let me know. Let me know, chat. Would you guys appreciate having a playlist for all of the abridged projects that exist together, like in order? Because I could set something up like that. And if I'm able to like control where things go so that like the timeline is arranged properly, anytime I put a new slime episode in, I can put it in the place it needs to be in the timeline. All right, Blubby, I'll drink some freaking water. Go. But please, yeah, let us know if you think this is a good idea. I'll pitch that to Tony and see if we can get that playlist set up if you guys would like that. That way, from now on, when somebody's like, "Oh man, I really like this," but like, how do I know what's all connected and what isn't? That I can just like send them a link to the playlist. Here's everything that's connected, and it's all in order of the timeline of our stuff. So if you want to watch everything chronologically, all the slime episodes would be up front. Then you'd get the Log Horizon stuff, and then in order of when everything's supposed to happen after Log Horizon, we've got that. So yeah, I think Spider happens like immediately after Log Horizon abridged, then like immediately after, like I would say like part way through, like maybe a quarter of the way through Konosuba is when Spider ends. So Konosuba's still going by the time Spider ends, and then right after Konosuba is when Overlord happens. So I could set that up in the timeline. But yeah, guys, let me know if you like that idea. Post in chat. Let me know what's what, man. I'm curious to get your thoughts. But I have rambled long enough. Let's hand it over to Shim. Shim, I believe we're on page 84 of the 288, and we're 28% of the way through this volume. Guys, this is content for season 3 of Mushoku Tensei. So, spoilers abound. There be spoilers here. Arr. I need to put up the spoiler tag. Let me just do that real quick. I think it'd be best if I put up a spoiler tag for like spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Oh.
Yeah. What was the last sentence that we left off on?
Okay, so
because it wasn't an even chapter that we left off on.
You like hearing me? Yeah, thank you. So the thing is that we're at all right, wait, but I have neither of those things. Oh, well, I'll just have to try my best anyway, was the sentence we ended on. And then there's like a gap between them, and that says that the next one is that night I summoned Sylphie to my room. So that's where we're at right there. So
cool. Just making
trying to find a decent place.
Because that's 26% of the way through for me.
26? Man, it's 28% for me. What in the
I think it's just the window size and all that.
Oh, that might be it. Okay.
The window size and then like how far I'm zoomed in on it adjusts or changes the percentages of the way through because it just changes the amount of book that's displayed.
I may have to change this because are we sure
my laptop's also old as dirt, so.
You know what you could do with that? You could turn that into a mini server for yourself, like a NAS or something.
Not on this thing, dude.
A NAS?
Not on this fucking thing, man.
Did you just call me a NAS?
Nice. This thing is super old. It's
You're
a MacBook Air from
NAS.
Yeah. It's like a 2013 MacBook Air, dude.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a pain in the NAS.
Yeah. I haven't updated this thing for fucking years.
No, you're not wrong. That is a pain in the NAS.
I just don't like Mac products as much anymore. This was a gift, but it's still
Oh
working
yeah,
really well.
I don't blame you.
Oh yeah.
I don't blame you.
It's fine.
I'm
It's all
still
good. It's
thinking
just
of
kinda
like the Apple versus Microsoft rap battle. When I think about that, from epic rap battles of history, it was like I got a piece talking about I could still afford a doctor if you bought a PC. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man, you could still afford a doctor if you bought a PC.
Yoing.
All right. So yeah, we'll get started on that. Boing. I had to go through and do all this stuff. Control P, Control. All right, D, and that should be much better. And save as PNG. There we go. Spoiler tag. Just change it to spoiler tag 2. You're good to go ahead and get started whenever you want.
Okay.
Don't let me interrupt
Just make sure that you're done saying everything that you needed.
I'm never done saying stuff, but you should probably read anyway.
Yeah, we're like at almost an hour.
Just shut me the hell up. Damn, season 3 really a month away. I know, right? It's a month away now. Revan, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. Enjoy your lurk. Enjoy your lurk. You're very rude.
Yeah. All right.
No, yeah, thank you for coming by. There we go. The spoiler alert looks much better now.
That night, I summoned Sophie to my room. If I was going to help Ariel, I needed to speak with my wife first. Sophie must have sensed it was a serious matter because when she showed up, she was in her normal clothes rather than pajamas. That was fine with me, considering the topic I was about to broach. Well, Rudy, what is it you wanted to talk about? Sophie asked, her expression guarded. I could hardly blame her for being wary. The last few times I formally called her here, it had been to relay what she must have thought was crazy talk. Sophie, I'm going to be direct, I said. All right. I have been ordered to help Princess Ariel on her path to becoming king. She scowled suspiciously, then her face lit up, but almost as quickly she was back to furrowing her brow again. Ordered? She echoed. That's right. Which means you're not doing it of your own free will? Orsted's the ones calling the shots. Her demeanor had changed completely. I had waffled back and forth between telling her the truth about Orsted's involvement, but I had so much guilt about things I had done to her in the past. This time, at least, I wanted to trust her and speak the truth. This is one of her close friends we were talking about here. Sophie gaped at me for a moment before snapping her jaw shut and narrowing her eyes. And what is his motive for making Princess Ariel king? Does he stand to benefit from that somehow? It will give him connections to Asura Kingdom. It will give him connections to Asura Kingdom through me. It doesn't seem like he wants something right now, but he may ask for assistance in the future. But he's the dragon god. The same one who beat you senseless even when you used your magic armor. I realize Asura Kingdom is regarded as the most powerful country in the world, but I still can't see why someone like him would want to foster such relations with them. There are some matters that can only be resolved by political influence and not force alone, I reasoned. It's only natural that Orsted would want that at his disposal, so he can make use of it when he needs it. This was merely groundwork. It was hard to explain, but making Ariel king now would allow him to reap the benefits in another 100 years. Orsted had an overall picture of how the future was supposed to play out. I had no idea how he would eventually make use of Ariel, or if he would even utilize her at all. What I did know, based on what I'd read in my future self's journal, was that Ariel becoming king would inconvenience the man god. Thus, we would place her on the throne. Sure, part of this was to get under the man god's skin, but it was also a basic tenet of war not to let your opponent have their way. The whole plan meant far more to Orsted than me. In fact, it meant almost nothing to me. As far as I was concerned, the minuses outweighed the pluses. If I helped Ariel assume the throne, everyone would label me as one of her supporters, and that meant being pulled into the sticky, corrupt mess that was aristocratic politics. Personally, getting a foot in the kingdom's door wasn't worth getting wrapped up in that. No, my desire to help Ariel was purely personal. She'd been there for me a lot, and it was time to repay her for that. Perhaps it was better not to think of pros and cons, but instead look at it in simpler terms. Ariel would be overjoyed if she became king. Sophie would be overjoyed if her close friend managed to achieve her goal. And if we managed to stop the man god from having his way, Orsted would be satisfied. I stood to benefit too. Sylphie's love for me would deepen, and Orsted would be convinced of my usefulness. Yeah, that's the best way to think of it. Well, Orsted's future demands aside, at this point, I think Princess Ariel only stands to benefit, I said. Sophie put her hand to her chin. Well, yes, I guess you're right. There are many unsavory characters in Asura Kingdom, and if we think of it as pitting villains against villains, it's not a bad move. Yikes, Sylvie wasn't pulling any punches. I wonder what she really thought of Orsted. I could admit he looked like a bad guy, or I could admit he looked like a bad guy, but did he look even more menacing and untrustworthy than I thought? Did he seem like the type of person who might kill someone upon first meeting them? Oh, excuse me. Okay, I can't really argue that last one. Princess Ariel should be the one to decide if we should accept his aid or not, she said, narrowing her eyes. Personally, I want a guarantee that he won't betray us. A guarantee? Yes. Why do you seem so sure he won't stab us in the back? I actually wasn't. In fact, he did seem to be hiding something from me, but he seemed more trustworthy than the man god at least. If I summoned him, he came immediately. It's not that I think he won't, I said, but I do think he's sincere in his dealings with me. As long as I don't work against him and continue to make myself useful, I don't think he'll be our enemy. If you say so. She pursed her lips, not fully convinced. All right, I'll drop the matter of whether Orsted can be trusted or not, at least for now. Are you sure? Continuing our debate won't do any good, will it? And it seems like you trust him. I shrugged. Yeah, true. We just have an endless verbal tug of war if we kept at it. Sophie took a deep breath, straightened her back, and fixed her gaze on me again. More importantly, I think we should discuss what your plans are. How do you, or rather, how does Orsted intend to make her king? Sophie was being unusually serious. Right now, she wasn't here as my wife, but as Ariel's bodyguard. It was a side of her I rarely caught a glimpse of. Her expression, coupled with her natural boyish nature, made her look like a distinguished nobleman. For now, we intend to persuade Lord Perugius to back her. But if it's between a dragon king and a dragon god, wouldn't the latter, that is Orsted, be higher ranking? Yet he still wants to convince Perugius to help us? I nodded. Lord Perugius has greater political influence in Asura Kingdom, and his words hold more weight with the people there. In contrast, Orsted has absolutely no authority in Asura. I was only repeating what the man himself had told me. But Lord Perugius doesn't seem likely to bend easily. No matter what Princess Ariel says, he won't give her the time of day. Luke and I have tried to convince him on her behalf, but to no avail. Yeah, things do look pretty tough, or pretty rough. Perugius had even refused to honor Orsted's request to help her. I thought he would have heeded any order, given how much he seemed to fear the Dragon King, but he clearly had his own opinions about the situation. But, Sophie continued, Zenoba seems to have gotten on his good side. He even seems to have taken a liking to you as well, Rudy. I wonder what the difference is. If I had to guess, I would say it's because the two of us aren't trying to become kings, I said. Does trying to take a crown offend him somehow? A bit simplistic, but not far off from Perugius' personal view of kings. Sophie sighed. I wonder if he never had any intention of aiding her to begin with. No, if that were the case, he would have refused her outright. He seems to be testing her. Really? Sophie crossed her arms and tilted her head. At any rate, I'd appreciate it if you allowed me to talk to Princess Ariel directly in the next few days. Hold on. At any rate, I'd appreciate it if you allowed me to talk to Princess Ariel directly in the next few days. Do you mind? Sure. I'll set things up for you. I'll let Luke know as well. The two of us will be present for your conversation. That's all right, isn't it? I nodded. Fine with me, although I would like to keep Orsted's involvement a secret and frame it as me helping because you and Luke convinced me to do so. Can you do that? Why would we hide the truth about Orsted? Since you're his subordinate now, it might give Princess Ariel peace of mind to know you're doing this under orders. In other words, she'd feel relieved to hear she had the Dragon God's support. However, I didn't want the Man God's apostle, Luke that is, to have any more information that was absolutely necessary, even though we had yet to confirm whether he was a puppet or not. God's eyes and ears could be anywhere. I'd like to keep Orsted's objectives and orders discreet. Sophie paused before asking. Orsted is fighting this man god person, right? Is he really that evil? Evil or not, he tried to kill Roxy, tried to go after you, and tried to kill me by pitting me against Orsted. He's our enemy. What? He tried to go after me? She jerked her head around, surveying our surroundings. Is he still after me? I couldn't say, but I doubt he's given up. In that case, I'll keep my guard up, Sophie said, especially at night. Sophie giggled. The only person in this town who would try to go after me at night is you, Rudy. Ha ha. Well, she's got me there. Maybe I should do just that tonight. In any case, at least we managed to work out a plan for me to meet Ariel. So, Rudy, I thought the conversation was over, but Sophie continued. If you're going to help Her Highness, that means you'll be going to Asura Kingdom as well, right? Yes, I'm sure I will. I can't very well convince Perugius to help and then send her off and rinse my hands of the matter. Plus, I would need to defeat whatever apostle the man god had lying in wait in the kingdom. I also needed to hunt down this Justina person, which meant I didn't even need to consult Orsted about whether I need to go or not. Clearly, I would have to. I want you to take me along as well, said Sophie. What? I know you probably want me to stay here and look after Lucy. I also know that Princess Ariel and Luke want me to continue living here in Sharia. But, honestly, I want to help out. I've been with them for so long now. She reached over and took my hand, her soft fingers curling tightly around mine. Please, Rudy. I want you to take me with you. I squeezed her hand. Frankly, I wanted her to stay. That was probably my own selfishness talking, but I wanted her to be where it was safe, where she could look after Lucy. Don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those guys who think a woman's lot in life is to stand silently behind her man. It was just, I couldn't explain it, and I didn't want Sophie to be in danger. Still, Sophie had spent years with Ariel and Luke. They'd been companions since the displacement incident. If they were to her what Regerd was to me, and if Regerd ever found himself in a tight spot, I would drop everything to rush to his aid. I owed him that much after how much he had done for me. Sure, I would hesitate if I had to weigh helping him against protecting the lives of my family, but he was still one of my top priorities. I was sure Sophie felt the same about Ariel and the others. Family was still important to her, and she knew she had to help raise Lucy. Even so, if her friends needed help, she wanted to do everything in her power to be there for him. It was only natural. All right, I said. Lend me your assistance then, Sophie. Okay. Sophie's face lit up, her mouth widening into a grin. It was then that I recalled that what the man god had said to me, that Sophie was destined to die in Asura Kingdom. I hated considering the possibility, but would this end up shortening her lifespan? Was I overthinking this? The course of history had been altered. Things might not go down the way they did in my future self's diary. Still, I had to say it. Sophie. Yes? The man god won't get directly involved, but he will use other people to get in our way. You mean like how he used you to fight Orsted? She asked. Exactly. Sophie frowned. Then we should be wary of anyone that might be under his control. Right. But, well, it could be someone close to you. Someone close to me? She blinked. Like who? Like Luke. Her face hardened. Rudy, that's out of the question. If Orsted is working to make Princess Ariel king, then the man god will try to undermine that, right? Which means he'll be trying to stop her, so there's no way he would go after Luke. Luke would never, ever turn on Princess Ariel. The man god might find a way to sweet-talk him into it. He has a way of corrupting people. Sophie glared at me. I sensed murderous hostility in her gaze. This was probably the first time I'd ever seen her look at me that way. If Luke loses sight of myself and tries to hurt Her Highness, her voice trailed off, then I will kill him. She said it with such resolve that it sent a chill through me. This was the first time I had ever thought of her as terrifying. Neither Luke nor I ever want to betray Her Highness, Sophie continued. I'm sure he'd rather die than be deceived by someone who'd stabbed her in the back. I would too. I could understand how she felt. If I ever did anything that hurt Regerd, even Eris might turn on me. It was the same thing here. I see. Sorry for bringing that up out of the blue, I said. Sophie shook her head. No, there's no need for you to apologize. I appreciate you warning me. She smiled quietly. Seeing that expression on her face helped me finally steel myself. If time ever came when Luke needed to die, I couldn't let it be by Sylphie's hands. I would need to be the one to do the deed. Chapter 5, Working Together. When I arrived at the floating fortress, Ariel was out in the garden having a tea party. Silvera was serving, but Perugius was nowhere in sight. Instead, Nanahoshi was the one sitting across from Her Highness. She must not feel very worried about her situation if she can have a tea party, I thought. But just as quickly, I realized I was mistaken. Ariel wore the exhausted face of an overworked salaryman. Huh. Matches perfectly with the exhaustion I saw on Luke's face. Ariel put effort into pasting an elegant smile on her face, but she couldn't hide the circles under her eyes. She must be feeling cornered. The way she eyed Nanahoshi screamed, "Come on! Ask me what's wrong! Ask me!" Nanahoshi ignored her completely. In fact, she seemed uncomfortable just sitting there. She wouldn't outright refuse an invitation at tea, but at the same time, it was clear she didn't want to be dragged into the messy situation between Ariel and Perugius. If ever there was a poster girl for the lazy protagonist archetype, it'd be Nanahoshi. The only reason she didn't flee the scene was because Ariel had offered her assistance when she was on death's door. Even if Ariel only lent us the use of her magical implement, that still qualified as help. "Oh, Rudius." Nanahoshi's expression relaxed the moment she spotted me. "Mind coming over here and sitting for a few?" I sat myself between the two girls. Silveril took the opportunity to pour me a cup of tea. The cup clattered as she slammed it down before me, which was unusually violent for someone as refined as her. I glanced up at her, and I could feel the coldness emanating from behind her mask. Perhaps she was angry about my mistaken summoning of Aramanfi. Sorry about that. "Okay, Rudius, please go ahead," Sophie mumbled as she took up position behind Ariel. Ariel looked a bit more relaxed thanks to her presence. I looked around and noticed Luke in the background. I'd spoken with him prior to our arrival. I told him that I would cooperate with the princess, and he was absolutely overjoyed, showering Sophie with compliments for managing to persuade me. "Well, Lord Rudius," said Ariel, "it's been quite a while. I would congratulate you on becoming Dragon God Orsted's subordinate, but I must ask, are you sure that was the right choice?" Her words lacked their usual vigor. She was being vague. Perhaps Sylphie had already badmouthed Orsted to her. "Thank you. Being in the employ of someone powerful provides a certain peace of mind. That goes for anyone, not just me," I replied. "You are quite powerful yourself. I suppose people of like power tend to be drawn to one another. Someone like that wouldn't even give me the time of day." Oh boy, she's really selling herself short. Looks like things are headed in a pretty grim direction. "Hey," Nanahoshi whispered, poking me in the side. "Orsted came to see me yesterday." "Yeah, and?" "I apologized to him, and he forgave me. Told me he hoped to continue our relationship." "Good to hear," I said. It was a short conversation, but Nanahoshi looked like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. People often remark that if saying sorry were all it took to solve matters, police wouldn't need to exist, but I would argue most things could be solved by a sincere apology. Personally, I wouldn't be willing to forgive someone who had tricked me, led me into a trap, and nearly got me killed, but that just demonstrated how generous Orsted was. "I also happened to see Lord Orsted," said Ariel, voice as pleasant as a bell. There was something strangely charismatic about her voice that made you want to heed what she said. She was gorgeous as well. Her blonde hair was more radiant than anyone else's I'd ever seen. She was the embodiment of beauty itself. I was surrounded by plenty of attractive men and women, but if you had to score them objectively, Ariel would come out on top. She was no ordinary beauty. She was like a piece of fine art, like she'd walked out of a painting. Granted, right now she lacked her usual energy, but that only gave her the ephemeral luster of an exhausted widow. "He's a terrifying man," Ariel continued. "I only glimpsed him from afar, but that was enough for all my hair to stand on end, screaming that he was dangerous." Ah, so she's already seen him. Perhaps not a good idea to tell her I was operating under his orders then, but perhaps it didn't matter. She already knew I was his subordinate. Ariel went on. "That was yesterday. He went home after enjoying some tea with Lady Nanahoshi. He seemed to be in a foul mood the entire time, but when Lady Silverrose spilled some tea on him, he didn't get upset with her at all." Silverrose spilled tea on Orsted? She couldn't have done that on purpose, right? No, she must have been so terrified that her hand slipped. The atmosphere seemed incredibly tense, yet Lady Nanahoshi had such a warm smile on her face, one that I'd never seen before. Despite Lord Orsted's appearance and demeanor, he must be quite magnanimous and open-minded. Wait, seriously? I'm surprised to hear her say that. Maybe the curse isn't as effective on her as everyone else. That works in our favor, at least. Or could this be the man god's doing? Indeed, He stood to benefit the most from controlling her actions instead of using Luke to lead her along. Why not pull her strings directly since she was in charge of the whole gig? Orsted had never hinted at such possibility, though. Maybe he had a good reason for believing the man god wouldn't touch her. Apparently, he's only so hated by everyone because of a curse he bears, I told her. Oh, truly? In that case, perhaps I should have said hello to him. He was intimidating enough from afar that it made my legs tremble. If I heard his voice up close, I might wet myself, she chuckled. Wet herself? Although it does feel quite good to relieve yourself in front of people. Pardon? What? Hold on. Lady Ariel, Sophie scolded. I'm pretty sure she just talked about enjoying water sports, but I'll pretend I didn't hear that. Asura's upper crust seemed to be full of perverts. There was something incredibly immoral about hearing a girl so classically picturesque talk about golden showers. Rudy, wipe that depraved grin off your face. You're in front of the princess, Sophie cried. Yes, ma'am. I put a hand over my mouth. Did my face betray my thoughts so easily? Sure, I was a pervert, but I was really only interested in seeing the girls I liked doing erotic things. Like Sophie, for example. Not that I was going to ask her to pee in front of me. I didn't want her to hate me. Nanahoshi wrinkled her nose, clearly disgusted, but I decided to ignore her. Ahem. Ariel cleared her throat. At any rate, Lord Rudius, it made perfect sense to me that, or when I heard you working under Lord Orsted. Oh? Why's that? Because I believe it would take someone as powerful as him to be able to control someone like you. Really? I don't think it takes much to control me. All Sophie had to do when we were in bed at night was to say, Hey Rudy, I have a favor to ask, and I'd wag my tail like a dog, ready to do whatever she wanted. To be clear, I was not expecting that kind of stuff from Ariel. All I needed from her was cold, hard cash, after all. I was the type of man who worked for two things, money and women. Anyway, it was time we stopped beating around the bush. I was here to talk about cooperation, not chat about Orsted. When you say someone powerful, don't you also mean someone like yourself, Princess Ariel? I asked, playing coy. Ariel put her hand over her mouth and narrowed her eyes. Oh, I didn't realize you flattered people like that. It wasn't meant as flattery, even though I had become desensitized to such titles of late. Ariel was still the princess of Asura Kingdom in the terms of my previous life. She was somewhat similar to the Crown Prince of England in status. One might catch a glimpse of her at official ceremonies, but speaking directly to her was out of the question, let alone being able to sit with her at a table like this. That was how important she was. Her status aside, Ariel had been hard at work increasing her influence. Almost every person in a key position at Sharia had some connection with her. There was the principal and vice principal of the academy, the top brass of the Magicians Guild, the head of the Magical Implement Workshop, the top administrator of a company, and the branch leader of the local Adventurers Guild. Those were the connections I personally knew about. One could invoke her name and expect favorable treatment just about anywhere you went. It was no exaggeration to say her influence could be felt at the top levels of Sharia key industries. In short, she didn't lack for connections. She had plenty of power. I did entertain the idea of having you as my subordinate, said Ariel. You did you? Or you did you? I gave up on that idea quickly, for a number of reasons, but chiefly because your power is too much for me to handle. She glanced to the side. Beyond the stunning garden was an expanse of white clouds and open sky, extending into the far distance. She stared off in that direction as she mumbled to herself. You hold power beyond yourself. It will be the end of you. For a moment, I thought she was talking to me, but I was mistaken. Ariel turned her attention back towards me and explained. When I was younger, I saw a play in the palace. That was a quote from the great demon empress Kishirika Kishirisu. I was pretty sure she'd never said that. It was probably a line someone else had come up with. The little girl I'd met would have never been able to, or capable of saying a line that clever. When the Golden Knight Aldebaran defeated her, Kishirika cursed him with those words as she lay dying, said Ariel. Huh. Aldebaran became king of the humans after that, but everyone feared him. In the end, his retainers betrayed him and killed him. This play she'd seen certainly did show the darker side of human nature, but it was quite different from the history I knew. That play is always performed when one of the royal family celebrates an important milestone in their life. These milestones are one's 5th, 10th, and 15th birthdays. In a certain kingdom, these occasions are always celebrated with grand parties. The royal family apparently staged a play as well. It deviates from history, Ariel acknowledged, but I'm told it highlights the frame of mind a royal should have. So it's not historically accurate, as I suspected. That wasn't surprising. It was completely different from the history I knew. The Golden Knight Aldebaran and Kishirika Kishirisu had struck each other down in battle. Wait, no, perhaps I was thinking of the showdown between demonic Dragon King Lapis and the fighting god. Oh well, it's not that important. What frame of mind is that? I asked. The key tenets of what makes a king. Fighting, winning, and ruling over one's subjects, I furrowed my brow. However, if that's truly all there is to it, why did Aldebaran's people betray and kill him? Was a king who had this play written trying to curse the generation that came after him? When I was younger, I couldn't help having these doubts. It was only when I turned 15 that I suddenly realized, you hold power beyond yourself. It will be the end of you. These words perfectly summed up the core message. She paused and glanced off into the distance again as she continued. Too much power will lead one down the path of destruction. Thus, one should only wield as much power as they can control. If one wants to become king, they must be able to master everything they have at their disposal. Even now, I still believe that to be true. Ariel hung her head, her long lashes casting shadows over her cheeks. I'm perfectly aware that you and Lord Perugius are both more than I can handle. She wore her usual soft smile, but it looked like she was on the verge of tears. I'm going to ask Lord Perugius for his help one more time, but if he refuses me, I think I will give up on trying to convince him. You're going to give up? I asked. Yes. It goes without saying that I do not intend to give up on becoming king, but I will cease my efforts to gain his support. While his power may be beyond me, the Asuran throne is not. I said nothing, but I nearly felt like sighing. She was far too caught up on whether someone was beyond her or not. Princess Ariel, I said. Yes, what is it, Lord Rudius? What part of me do you think is so powerful? Ariel had said I was powerful and special. I'd always dreamed of being seen in such a light, but as things stood, I definitely didn't think of myself as extraordinary. That wasn't even a biased view, in my opinion. I had not yet reached a level that could be called impressive. Oh, if I were to name all your incredible qualities, the list would go on and on. I suppose the biggest one would be your impressive mana pool. My mana pool, huh? Well, it was true that my mana pool dwarfed most people's, having that lapless aspect that had blessed me with an impressive one. Perhaps so much so that an ordinary person would never become my equal through effort alone. I could also admit that it proved beneficial more than once in the past. Still, an expansive mana pool wasn't the solution for everything. All the problems I faced required other solutions. Perhaps if my mana pool could solve every problem I'm facing, I would agree that I am a powerful person, I said. What problems are those? Hard to give a concrete example since these problems are a daily occurrence. Right now, I spend every day worrying how I'm ever going to explain what's going on to my family. I was terrified of the man god and scared of Orsted as well. I glossed over the details and fed lies to my family, having no better idea of how to explain things to him. Yet, Ariel said I was powerful? Don't make me laugh. I can't speak for Lord Perugius, I said. But I'm not powerful, at least. Or I'm simply the husband of your close friend who happens to have a bigger mana pool than most people, and a lot of odd acquaintances. But I'm just your average magician, really. One who is constantly worried over something. Those are my honest feelings, no matter how embarrassing cliche it sound. I reached across the table and took Ariel's hand in mine. Her skin was so soft, and her fingers were so dainty, I almost feared they might break in my grip. Sophie pouted in her corner, but she would have to deal with it for the moment. Princess Ariel, I did not come here today for a simple chat. You came to talk me up instead. Ariel kept a gentle smile on her face, not at all flustered that I suddenly grabbed her hand. I sensed some exhaustion behind it, but it was otherwise a flawless poker face. If that was all it took to sway your heart, that might actually be somewhat appealing. But actually, Luke and Sophie were the ones who asked me to come here. In an unusual display of alarm, Ariel's head jerked around as she glanced back at the two of them. Sophie stood firm while Luke quickly bowed his head. They begged me to help you. Her dainty fingers squeezed around mine like a steel vice, exhibiting far more strength than I thought possible, enough to make me wince. The two of them said that, she mumbled. I didn't come here to look condescendingly down upon you, scoffing about how you need my help. In fact, it's just the opposite. I wondered how she would have reacted to me suddenly grabbing her hand and saying all this if she were her normal, confident self. Won't you please let me work alongside you? A tear fell from Ariel's eyes. It was beautiful, yet strangely I found it surprising that she would cry. Why is that? I wondered. Ariel quickly wiped her tears with her free hand. She forced a smile and said, "This is the first time I've ever heard a pickup line that managed to shake me to my core." It was clear she wasn't joking around. She'd schooled her expression, her cheeks weren't blushing, and she wasn't crying anymore either. She looked every bit the dignified princess. "I admit, I would be grateful for the assistance," Ariel said, nodding. "However," she lowered her chin and studied me closely, trying to suss out my intentions. "You are Lord Orsted's subordinate now, yes? Will he really allow you to do such a thing?" "I have already spoken with him about it," I assured her. "Which means that you're acting on his orders then, yes?" His curse didn't seem completely effective on her, so maybe it wouldn't hurt to answer her honestly, but I decided to stick with the plan and keep his aim a secret. "No, not at all," I shook my head. "I was the one who said I wanted to help you, and he told me I was free to do as I wished." After a brief pause, Ariel said, "All right, very well. Be sure to convey my gratitude to him then." Sophie pursed her lips, unhappy at how I'd handled things, but this was how it had to be. "In that case, I look forward to having your support," said Ariel, "and I look forward to working with you. We readjusted our grip on each other's hands and shook on it. Now that we have that settled, time to move on to the details. "If we're going to make you king, we could enlist Lord Orsted's help in the matter, but frankly, he doesn't hold much sway in Asura Kingdom. I don't think he would be much to help you," I said, prefacing my main point. "As such, I think Lord Perugius' help will be crucial." "Agreed," Ariel said solemnly, sitting up straighter in her chair. Perhaps I was only imagining it, but Sophie and Luke looked more serious now than they had a few minutes ago. Orsted had also mentioned that convincing Perugius to support Ariel was paramount, which only further reinforced how much authority Perugius held in Asura. The problem was how to go about persuading him. Perugius posed a question to us before, which was, "What is the most important quality a king must have? If you can bring me that answer yourself, then I will give you my support," I said, reciting what I remembered of our previous conversations with Perugius, apparently having a flawless impression of him. Ariel's eyes twitched. She had racked her brain over and over for the answer to that question. "I wonder what kind of response he really wants," I said. Previously, Ariel had answered, "They're wise, listen to their cabinet ministers, and don't forget their position in society." But Perugius dismissed that as incorrect. He then turned the question to me, and I answered, "I think I'd prefer a ruler who can put themselves in the shoes of the common folk, rather than someone who relies on their own abilities." Perugius had called that response preferable, but that suggested it wasn't the correct answer either. If Orsted was to be believed, Derek Redbat must have found the correct answer to this challenge when it was posed to him. Orsted had also suggested the answer likely had something to do with Gaunis, Freyan Asura. Sorry. Of course, since history had been changed, there was no guarantee that Derek had answered the same question as the one we had now faced, but it was worth investigating. If memory serves, King Gaunis was a close friend of Lord Perugius's, right? Ariel nodded. "Yes, the story of their friendship is famous. Lord Perugius also seems very nostalgic when he comes up in conversation. In that case, whatever this quality is, King Gaunis must have possessed it, correct?" "Perhaps. You can look into him, can't you? There should be some records about him." I thought my suggestion was foolproof, but for whatever reason, Ariel and her two bodyguards looked less than enthused. "I hate to break this to you," said Ariel. "What? Did I say something weird?" "No, but we've already looked into King Gaunis. We found nothing of note in the archives on this floating fortress nor in Renoa's library." Ah, so they'd already tried that route. That made sense. Perugius' relationship with Gaunis was known far and wide. It'd be stranger they hadn't followed that lead, or they hadn't followed that lead. If we could check the National Library, if we could check the National Library in Asura, there might be something he published that might give us better insight. But true, the best place to find information on an Asuran king would be in the kingdom's library, but for obvious reasons, we'd find it difficult to pay a visit to that place right now. "Well, that is troubling," I said, "in that case. Perhaps it would be better to ask about Derek instead." How would I make such an inquiry, though? They would all find it strange that I even knew about him to begin with. Before we discuss this any further," Ariel glanced briefly at Silveril. "Are you sure this is all right? Lord Perugius can hear everything we're saying." I tilted my head. "And I suspect he finds the whole thing entertaining." "I worry that he may not permit us to discuss this matter as a group," Ariel explained. "Ah, that's what she means." Ariel thought he might want her to think on it and come up with an answer on her own. I, on the other hand, wasn't so sure that was his aim. I glanced at Silveril. She fluttered her wings gently before saying, "It matters not to Lord Perugius how you arrive at your answer. If it is the correct one, he will lend you his support." The words were left unspoken, but her tone said it all. That should be a given. He is, after all, a very magnanimous person. "Do you mean to say that I should have consulted others from the very beginning?" Ariel asked. Silveril nodded. "In fact, Lord Perugius was deeply puzzled as to why you were trying to solve it on your own to begin with." Ariel smiled bitterly. "I backed myself into a corner by overthinking it." "I see," she muttered to herself, then stood up, her spirits renewed. She lifted her arms, catching her blonde hair on the way up. It fell back across her shoulders as she stretched, hands clasped in the air. She then cracked her neck and clapped her cheeks. Not the kind of behavior you'd expect from a princess. Sometimes people could limit themselves by overthinking. They were often burdened by the belief that things had to be a certain way and that there were no alternatives. Those preconceptions and biases often led people away from the current path. It was only when a person realized they were mistaken, when they realized there were several ways of accomplishing the same thing, that their field of view expanded and let them feel freer than they've ever been. I had experienced something similar when Roxy dragged me outside for the first time. "All right," Arrow declared. "Sophie, Luke, take your seats." "As you command." All right. All right. The two happily settled at the table, which only made Nanahoshi feel even more awkward. "Now then, let's begin our meeting," Ariel said, exuding the same confidence I had seen from her when I first met her. Should I start clapping? No, I better not. Instead, I raised my hand and said, "Before we begin, I would like to make sure we are all on the same page. Do you mind?" "Same page," Ariel echoed. "What I mean to say is, I don't really know much about you, Your Highness." "I suppose not. Well, what is it you wish to know?" Her cheeks flushed, and Sophie stared meaningfully at me. "Oh, come on, I'm not asking for vital stats here. I'm trying to have a serious conversation." "First, if you wouldn't mind sharing, I would like to hear why you wanted to become king." I knew she wanted to become king, but I had only picked up bits and pieces about her motivations. She mentioned something about how many people had died for her. I assumed Derek was probably one of them. "I'm fairly certain I already told you what my motivations are," said Ariel. "What? You did?" "Yes, when you and Sylphie got married." "Is that right?" I scratched my head. "Well, I'd like you to remind me regardless." "I told you that I wouldn't be able to face people who believed in me and died for nothing if I didn't become king." I nodded. "I see. So you're doing it for the people who sacrificed their lives for you. Could you tell me more about these individuals?" She smiled and tilted her head. "Is that somehow relevant to our current problem?" I know a look of rejection when I see one. She doesn't want to talk about it. "I don't know if it has any relevance or not," I confessed. "But from where I'm standing, it seemed like Lord Perugius is testing you. In that case, maybe if we dig through your history and motivations, we might find clues that will lead us to the answer we seek." "I see what you mean." I was just throwing that out as an excuse, but it actually made some sense. Frankly, I had no idea what made a true king, or whatever Perugius wanted to call it. I knew squat about kings aside from what I'd read in a novel long ago. I remembered a line that went something like, "A king lives for his people." No, it's more than that. He exists to guide the people. My ignorance on the topic meant that racking my brain over the question wouldn't be very productive. "Very well. I should warn you that there were many who died. We lost an especially great number when we fled Asura. 13 to be precise. The 4 knights were Alsadir, Calum, Dominic, and Cedric. The 3 mages were Kevin, Johann, and Babette. My 6 retainers were Marceline, Bernadette, Edwina, Florence, and Corin. I doubt I will never forget their names as long as I live. Our journey was brutal. We fought together and overcame so many obstacles. Every single one of them desperately desired that I become king, and died trying to make that happen." Wait, what? Derek isn't even among the names that she listed. That's odd. Orsted had mentioned that Derek had died, but Ariel hadn't even brought him up. Maybe he wasn't that important to her? Perhaps he would have learned a clue from the 13 she just mentioned had he been alive. "Tell me more about each of them," I said. "Very well. It will take quite some time to do so. Are you all right with that?" I nodded. "I don't mind. Every single one of them must have been important, so I would hate to skip any of them." As soon as I said that, the atmosphere became less tense. Ariel grinned as Luke gaped in surprise. For whatever reason, Sophie appeared to be smiling proudly, and Hoshi was the only one who seemed uncomfortable. "All right. In that case," Ariel slowly began opening up about the 13 people she had lost. She filled me in on where they were born, how they were raised, and how she came to meet them all. She also went into their likes and dislikes, their personalities, what they were most proud of, what conversations they had, what made them laugh, what made them angry, and what made them cry. She spared no details, even told me about who got along with who liked who, and who hated who. Finally, she explained how each of them died. Each person had their own share of drama, but they were all real people who had lived and died. The conversation told me all I needed to know about each of the 13. Sophie and Luke also chimed in here and there with their own recollections of the deceased. All three had a wealth of information they could share about the group they lost. So well did they remember them. I suspected the other two, or the two other girls that served Ariel, who weren't currently present, could do the same. My future self said Sophie left to join Ariel because she'd become disenchanted with him, but I personally wondered if she wouldn't have left regardless. The bonds shared by their group were so strong I couldn't discount that possibility. I was honestly a little jealous. They gave their lives for Ariel, died protecting her. The weight of that was something I knew all too well, and I thought it was a good thing that Sophie knew it too. That is all, said Ariel once she was finished. Huh, interesting. Sadly, nothing she'd said seemed related to what it took to be a true king. In a way, the bond she had with them seemed evidence enough to me that she was fit for the role. King Arthur's round table also had 13 seats after all. Okay, sure, if you include the survivors, it doesn't actually come out to 13, but still. Oh, goodness, I did forget someone else who was very important, said Ariel. This is what I was waiting for. It's gotta be Derek Redbat. See? I knew it. This is what I was waiting for. I kept quiet, waiting for her to go on, but Ariel merely drew her brows together as her face scrunched. What's the matter? I asked. Oh, it's just... To tell you the truth, I suddenly realized that I didn't really know him that well. Ugh, great. So he kicked the bucket before he got close to her. Or with her. That was a problem. Or that was a problem. She might have had more to say about him if, as in the original timeline, the two had fought side by side and built trust as they both put their lives on the line. But alas, she didn't. If the two had built no memories together, then she wouldn't know what kind of person he was. And I wouldn't be able to use that information to figure out how he managed to sway Perugius. Do you remember anything about him at all? I asked. Doesn't matter if it seems insignificant. You said he was someone important, so there had to be something, right? My only option was to push her for answers. Let's see. He was a very serious and professional person. Ariel continued, adding some details, but he sounded pretty, well, normal to me. Just your average smarty-pants magician. He was a nitpicking busybody, the type that always sighed in exasperation at his friends' antics. When Ariel went off and did things on her own, he looked at her with a judgmental eye and called her out on it. The picture she painted of him reminded me of Cliff. Or perhaps he was more like Vice Principal Genius. At any rate, he was basically the equivalent of a nosy grandparent always fussing over Ariel's future. At the time, my behavior was not befitting one worthy of sitting upon the throne. I lived an indolent lifestyle. I didn't even dream about becoming king. That was when the displacement incident happened. A beast suddenly appeared, and Derek died protecting me. His last wish was that I become king. That was why I started down this path. I see. Excuse me. Dear Lord, okay. Nothing she described told me about his frame of mind or what he was striving for. Which was unfortunate because she told me more than enough about the 13 that died on her journey here. This conversation hadn't yielded any hints either. There has to be something, I thought. Some way to draw out the information I need. As I was humming to myself, contemplating a solution, someone suddenly spoke up. Come to think of it, he never doubted that Princess Ariel would be the next king. He took every opportunity he could to suggest that she should take the throne, Luke said. He struck a sultry pose, putting his hand on his chin as he recalled what he knew. Perhaps he knew the answer, knew what makes one a true king. That would explain why he was so confident that she would become king, because he knew she possessed that quality. Good job, Luke! It made sense when I thought about it. Luke, like Ariel, had become close with Derek. But I have to be careful about what he says. It's possible he's only sharing this based on advice he received from the Man God. It was best to assume that anything Luke suggested might be dangerous, even if the Man God or the man himself meant no harm. Interesting. That certainly is possible, Ariel said. She nodded as though the words Derek had said to her finally made sense with this added context. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, Luke reminded her. Everyone went quiet. He had no way of knowing what Derek was thinking. As the silence stretched, the atmosphere grew heavier. Perhaps we had spent too much time dwelling on those lost to us. Well, at any rate, let's keep on thinking about it and see if we come up with other clues, I said. The words did nothing to alleviate the gloomy air that had settled over the table. In the end, we came up with no constructive options that day. Chapter 6, Orsted's Suggestion. And that's how it went. After my meeting with Ariel, I immediately took off to meet Orsted and relay what we discussed. If Luke was the Man God's messenger, I was Orsted's. I briefed him on every little detail. In essence, I was an informant. Reduce the tattletale, you might say. So they already looked into information on Gonus, Orsted muttered. What should we do next? I asked, despite half expecting him to glare at me and tell me to think for myself sometimes. Just to be clear, I wasn't the type who sought the approval of others for every little thing I did, all right? I intended to be as independent as I could, but I had only become Orsted's subordinate recently. I wasn't yet sure what he wanted to me or wanted to be reported to him and what could be handled on my own. While I was figuring out that boundary, I was largely deferring to him for most matters on our current mission. I didn't want him snapping at me for doing things without getting his input first. Also, I was asking for his opinion, not a concrete answer, or not seeking a concrete answer. He didn't have to spell everything out for me. He just needed to point me in the right direction. In this way, I would slowly learn how he wanted me to handle matters. Plus, I did have a suggestion handy if he told me to think for myself. Orson and I could use teleportation circles to infiltrate the Asuran library where we could swipe the necessary materials. That was what I had planned if he had no other suggestions. You should head to the library labyrinth in that case. His answer caught me off guard. I tilted my head back. Library labyrinth? What the heck is that? Orsted saw the confusion on my face. A labyrinth where copies of books from all over the world are stored, he explained. I never knew something like that existed. How are those books copied? I asked. A certain bookworm demon king uses the power of their demon eye to copy them. Considering that the first people that came to my mind when he said demon king were Bodigadi and Atofe, I imagine this person was similar, someone with an obnoxious laugh and 8 arms, each one holding a volume of manga. Part of me wondered why anyone would do that with the library. But when Orsted said it was a demon king, somehow that was all the explanation I needed. Well, it does sound like it must be pretty useful, I admitted. If the library had every book from all over the world, that meant it contained a large information or amount of intel. Sure, there was information out there that never made it into books, but a vast majority of it did. It was like Wikipedia, but for magic. You could probably find information on just about anything you wanted in there. Not quite, said Orsted. The place isn't organized at all. Oh, okay. Having a wealth of information meant little if you couldn't systematically search for what you were looking for. Dictionaries only worked because they were ordered alphabetically, allowing you to quickly find the definition for whatever word you needed. This library, on the other hand, had a vast number of books all randomly scattered about. It was hard to guess how many hours, days, or even weeks it might take to locate a specific volume. In that case, I said, wouldn't it be difficult for us to find the information we seek? The vast majority of literature about Garnus Free and Asura is grouped together by publication date. It would be difficult to gather everything ever written about him, but you would still find more in there than you would in Asura's National Library. Huh. So apparently this Demon King hadn't copied the books at random, but in order when they were written, oldest to newest. If that was the case, it wouldn't be impossible to locate where we needed or what we needed, especially in the case of Garnus. He was a great king and war hero. There had to be a ton of books about him. Okay, so where is this place? I asked. The Demon Continent, the Hylith region, deep in the Wraith Forest. And I assume we're going to get there by using teleportation circles, he finished for me. Traveling sure had become convenient lately, thanks to these teleportation circles. It made me nostalgic for the time I spent with Regia and Eris traveling from the Demon Continent all the way to the Central Continent. Very well. I'll suggest that to Ariel and the others, I said. It would be a little unnatural for me to suggest such an obscure location out of the blue, though. Maybe it would be better to say I'd prodded Orsted for information, and that was how I knew about the place. I could already picture the opposition to my mention of his name, but that would give me an opportunity to flex my persuasive prowess. Orsted had likely recruited me expecting I would be useful in that way. Just as I turned my heel to leave, he called after me. Rudius. Yes? If you cannot find your answer even after you have combed through various materials on Godness, try this. He handed me a picture that I could only assume was the cover of a book. It was beautifully drawn. I wonder if he'd done it himself. And this is? I asked. You'll understand once you read it. Of course, if the books you find on Godness provide the answer you seek, then you needn't bother with it. His words, while vague, seems to contain some hidden meaning for the moment. I pocketed the picture he handed me and left. It was late night by the time I made my way back to the floating fortress. There was no curfew there, and so Armanfi led me inside as usual. He warned me that Perugius had already retired for the evening, so I should keep quiet as I traversed the halls. That means Ariel was probably asleep too. Perhaps I should have gone home instead of rushing back here, but it was too late to regret my decision. I could spend the night here and speak with Ariel about the library labyrinth first thing in the morning. Liberty labyrinth, that's not it. With that in mind, I started towards the guest quarters, only to notice something moving in the corner of my vision. Crap! A roach? Even at this altitude? Guess not even Perugius' spirits can protect against an infestation. Makes sense considering the rats I saw in the basement. But then I realized that this thing, whatever it was, stood outside the nearby window. Silver light poured in through the glass, and a beautiful garden spread out beyond it. The moon didn't provide much light, but I squinted and noticed sitting at the table outside. Who would it be out there at this hour? Maybe Silver was putting in some overtime. Whatever the case, I decided to head out there and find out. Huh. A beautiful sight greeted me when I stepped out of the building. Bathed in the moonlight, the grass glimmered faintly, guiding my path forward. It led to a patch of flowers that were unremarkable during the daytime, but took on the moon's glow at night and shone like a mirage. I could see why Silveroo bragged about this garden at every opportunity. A girl sat at the table where Perugius and Ariel often enjoyed their tea. Since she didn't wear a mask, there was only one person it could be. Well, okay, Nanahoshi hadn't actually been wearing her mask much recently, so I guess there was still technically two possibilities. Nonetheless, the person sat there was a peerless beauty, known locally for her unmatched allure. It was Ariel, in other words. She was spacing out, or more accurately, she seemed almost immobile, as she stared out at the fantastical garden. Princess Ariel? I said. Huh. Her shoulders jumped as she jerked around to face me. Oh, it's you, Lord Rudius. What are you doing here at this hour? Exhaustion crept onto her face as she averted her gaze. I couldn't sleep, so I sneaked out here. Without alerting Sophie or Luke? Yes, my apologies. I simply wanted to enjoy the night air a bit by myself. I wasn't judging her for it, but at the same time, she did have people out for her life. She knew that better than anyone. Maybe that was what compelled her to apologize. Well, I said, everyone has moments like that. Even a king, Ariel asked. A king is still a human being, so, of course. She went silent. I had heard that kings weren't ever supposed to show weakness, but that merely meant they couldn't expose it, not that they didn't experience it. Everyone had moments of vulnerability where they needed to gather their thoughts. One sec. So, what were you thinking about? I took a seat by her side at the table. Probably she didn't want to be disturbed, but I had something I wanted to talk to her about anyway. While I could wait until tomorrow, it seemed better to tell her as soon as I could. I was contemplating whether I'm really fit to be king or not, she replied. Definitely not the words I was hoping to hear. Well, you seem like you make a splendid king to me, I said. Royalty are good at putting on a facade to fool their people. It's merely an illusion. Ah, so it's something inside that's eating you up then. She went quiet for a moment before saying, Ultimately, I'm only going down this path because I couldn't face anyone otherwise. Maybe I was never cut out to be king. Maybe I would have been better off accepting an arranged marriage to whatever noble was deemed best for me and bantering with Luke as an equal, as I once used to. Her voice grew quieter and quieter. I'd never seen such fragility from her before. Well, I stammered. Crap. She is so down in the dumps that she's headed in the awful direction. She seriously started thinking about giving up her bid for the throne. I'm in hot water, especially since Orsted was already laying plans to help make her king. Those unique circumstances aside, I still had a fairly high opinion of Ariel. She may have been driven out of Asura after losing the political game, but she hadn't given up. She was fighting tooth and nail to strengthen her position and create a solid foundation to pursue her goals. If it had taken her 5 or 6 years to get this far, personally, I would have quit halfway through. No, I'd have thrown up my hands in defeat the moment I was driven out of the country, just like I did when I thought Eris had rejected me. I didn't want Ariel to give up now. I knew that even if she broke on the inside, she would probably put on a brave front and head for Asura Kingdom anyway. But how was she supposed to win if she didn't have the ambition behind it? Who would want to support a person who had no life in their eyes? The Ariel my future self wrote about must have been like that. She failed to win Perugius' support and left for Asura anyway, only to be betrayed and killed. That was all speculation, of course, but when push came to shove, her mental state might be the deciding factor. Not that willpower was the be-all and end-all, but when a person was pushed to their breaking point, their mentality could make the difference between victory and defeat. Princess Ariel. I said her name even though I had no real words to offer her. I wasn't planning to be king, and I hadn't known many kings before either, nor could I empathize with what she had been through. All I'd seen was the mask she showed to the outside world. Whatever I said would slide off her like water off a duck's back. Lord Orsted has an idea of where we might find a plethora of books on Goddess Free and Asura, I blurted out. Huh? Before you decide whether you're really fit for the throne or not, why don't you try looking through those materials and see what you find? Ariel's eyes widened. She stared at me and muttered, Lord Orsted? She gulped. And where will we find these books? In a place called the Library Labyrinth. Let's go. Ariel decided before I could finish my sentence. Not even a second's hesitation there. You sure wasted no time debating whether to go or not. She had started turning away, but her gaze snapped immediately back to me. There was power there. Passion. I may be feeling weak right now, but I haven't given up yet. Good to know. She looked fragile as glass at the moment, but she was still a woman with her eyes on the crown. If she didn't have guts, she wouldn't have made it this far. All right, then. Let's head there, I said, nodding with as much determination as she'd just shown me. 3 days later, I found myself in a building on the outskirts of Sharia. It was a different cabin from the one where Orsted had taken up residence, and inside was a teleportation circle emitting a dazzling pale light. So this is the teleportation circle we'll be taking, Ariel remarked from beside me. After we had spoken, she immediately left to rouse Sophie and Luke and began preparations to depart. I hurried back to Orsted so I could update him. He then cleaned up the basement of this building and put the necessary teleportation circle in place. This one was an inert type that required my mana to work, like the type Perugius often made use of. Excuse me. It's not the first time I've seen one, said the princess, but I admit, I am a little nervous at the idea of stepping upon it. She eyed it curiously. Suddenly her gaze snapped away as she gracefully scanned the area, as if she suddenly realized something. Finally, she turned towards me. By the way, I noticed Lord Orsted is absent. It's his way of showing consideration, since his curse would only be an unnecessary distraction. Oh, I see. I was hoping to at least introduce myself to him, said Ariel. If Orsted showed up, the three of them would probably refuse to use the magic circle he'd created. Although his curse seemed not to affect Ariel entirely, there was no telling what effect it would have if she faced it in the flesh. What a pity, Ariel frowned, disappointed. Was she just fearless, or did she enjoy coming face to face with terrifying things? Either way, I couldn't let her meet Orsted. The worst part of his curse made those who looked upon him lose all rationality. Even Sophie and Roxy, with their sensibility and knowledge of said curse, could not bring themselves to trust Orsted. It was impossible to know what effect it might have on Ariel. She was fine at the moment, but if she was faced with him in close quarters, she would probably become so terrified that she'd keep her distance, even from me. It'd be awesome if Ariel could speak to Orsted as openly as I did, but the risk meant that keeping our distance was the better option. She still found him intimidating, but she also understood she could make use of him. In fact, when I mentioned that it was Orsted who suggested visiting the Library Labyrinth, she hopped on board without second-guessing his intentions. Maybe it was only natural, a drowning man grasping at straws, but Orsted's curse was usually so powerful that most people wouldn't accept his help even when backed into a corner. But this circle is something Orsted made, right? Sophie asked. Are you sure it's safe to use this? I don't want to get thrown into a pit of beasts, Luke grumbled. Neither trusted Orsted. If Ariel were to deal with him directly, she might become just like them. I had to avoid that at all costs. Don't speak like that, you two. Lord Rudius would never lead Sophie into danger, would he? Or would he? Ariel glanced at me. Of course, I said. I used it once, to be sure. Or just to be sure. There was nothing unusual about our destination, aside from it smelling of mold and being covered in dust. Granted, I hadn't ventured very far, since the place was supposed to be a labyrinth. Then let us be on our way. Or, so I would like to say. But first, Ariel stood in front of the magic circle, her gaze focused on me. Or, to be more precise, on the two women behind me. Would you like to introduce them? I glanced behind me, where Eris and Ghislaine stood, I glanced behind me, where Eris and Ghislaine stood. When I told the former I would be going to the library labyrinth, she lit up at the word labyrinth and asked me to tag along. or asked to tag along. I didn't imagine she'd be much of use hunting down books, and Orsted had assured me that the place wasn't very dangerous, but you never know on that front. It wouldn't hurt to have some extra fighting power. So with no good reason to refuse Eris, I let her come along. I had an ulterior motive for dragging Ghislaine along. This was a perfect opportunity to introduce her to Ariel. Although I could have waited until I grew closer to her highness, Ariel had already thought more highly of me than expected, so I didn't think it would be a problem to speed things up. Plus, she would have a harder time trusting Ghislaine if I waited to introduce them when we were just about to set off for Asura. I thought this labyrinth adventure would be a good opportunity to test the waters. When I brought up meeting Ariel and Ghislaine and Eris a few days ago, Ghislaine said she didn't know squat about etiquette, so she wasn't sure how to go about introducing herself. Eris, likewise, was anxious about whether her wardrobe would be acceptable for meeting royalty. Ironic, given they normally never said such things. Sophie had stepped in to reassure them. While sighing to herself, she explained that Princess Ariel wasn't fussy about other people's manners. She also said Eris's clothes were perfectly fine, but if the two of them were concerned, she would be happy to teach them. In the ensuing 3 days before our departure, they had worked hard to prepare themselves. Eris stepped forward as if she'd been waiting this whole time for Ariel to notice them both. I put a hand out to stop her. What? She snapped at me. Hold on a second, I'll introduce you, I promise. Princess Ariel, this is Eris. As I am sure you are aware, she has earned herself the nickname Berserker Sword King. She is accompanying us today as my bodyguard. I glanced at her and whispered, Okay, now it's your turn. She started to cross her arms before catching herself and putting a hand to her chest and said, bowing her head, The name's Eris Greyrat. Her attitude wasn't the most polite, but Ariel smiled warmly at her nonetheless. A pleasure to make your acquaintance, Lady Eris. I am Second Princess Ariel Enamois Asura. I have heard many rumors about you since I was younger. Nothing good, I bet. Ariel chuckled. True, the ones that made it to the capital weren't the most flattering. However, I don't judge people based on the whispers I hear of them. It's all hearsay after all, Eris didn't respond. The fact that you stand beside Lord Rudius is proof they're not all to be believed, Ariel said. The people he keeps in his company may have their quirks, but none of them are bad people. Pleased, Eris nodded and crossed her arms. She stood with her legs spread beneath her as always, completely forgetting etiquette and nobility she was supposed to follow. That's right, said Eris. Rudius is amazing. Good. You understand. Indeed. Having said that, while we may not be in each other's company long, I look forward to our time together. Ariel curtsied gracefully. Eris just stared down her nose at the princess and snorted, although she did dip her head slightly. Ahem. Sophie cleared her throat, scratching the back of her ear. Ah! Eris gasped quietly, dropping her arms. She filled a pace as she retreated a few steps. I forced an awkward smile as I motioned towards Ghislaine next. And this is Black Wolf Ghislaine de Doldia. I brought her to introduce to you in hopes that she might become one of your bodyguards, Your Highness. Ghislaine stepped forward and took a knee. She narrowed her uncovered eyes, staring the princess down. Ghislaine, she grunted. A pleasure to make your acquaintance as well, Lady Ghislaine. I am Second Princess Ariel Enamois Asura. When you were still living in the Fitoa region, I have one question, Ghislaine said, interrupting. I was told if I served under you, I'd be able to take revenge for Lord Soros. Is that true? It was so rude and abrupt that I wondered why she had even bothered practicing etiquette with Sylphie for these past 3 days. Then again, I could see where she was coming from. This wasn't a matter Ghislaine could compromise on. It is true, Ariel answered without missing a beat. To tell the truth, I had already laid the groundwork to make sure her demands would be met. I had told Sylphie that her aim was to avenge Soros. If you accompany me to the Asuran Palace, we will find out together who was really responsible, who pulled the strings to take down Lord Soros. No, not we. I will be the one to find out for you. And when I do, please use that blade of yours to see justice done. For some reason, she shot a meaningful look at Eris when she spoke. What was that supposed to mean? She eyeing Eris? She actually interested in her? I mean, yeah, Eris does look pretty boyish and badass, but really? No, that couldn't be it. Ghislaine was the one who wanted to take revenge for Soros, but Eris had even greater reason to want his death avenged. Ariel likely thought that Eris was after the same thing and was acting as my bodyguard in name only. I didn't know Eris's thoughts on that, but if she was presented with the opportunity to take down Soros' killers, she would likely do it. I would too. Myself, I wouldn't go all out to hunt them down and murder them, but if there was a mastermind behind it all and they happened to appear in front of me, I would bring them to justice. Soros' death was a result of scheming to reduce the Boreas' family's power, since they were one of 4 families that oversaw a vast stretch of kingdom land, while also weakening the first prince's influence.
We got 2 minutes left, so go ahead and pick a spot where you want to start winding down.
Oh, okay. I'll just do it in like the last paragraph
Okay.
from they work together, but I'll keep going.
Sounds good.
There were so many possible culprits that it was hard to narrow it down. I will, said Gillian to Ariel, bowing her head, her tail flicked behind her as she turned her gaze to Sylphie. Well, what should I do then? For the moment, we'll have you come along as Princess Ariel's bodyguard. Please shield her from the ashes of battle. Ashes. Gillian's forehead wrinkled. Are we going up against a fire-breathing monster? Huh? No, what I meant was, take down anyone who tries to attack her. So that's what you mean. Understood. Also, no need for fancy titles from now on. Just call me Ghislaine. Having said her piece, Ghislaine returned to her place behind me. Well, it was an honor to meet you both, Ariel said, curtsying before us once again. I instinctively bowed in response, which prompted a flustered heiress to follow suit. Ghislaine, on the other hand, merely bobbed her head in acknowledgement. The two were only acquaintances at this point, but surely trust would form between them the longer they worked together. In the same vein, I needed to make sure this first job went smoothly, in order to deepen the trust between Orsted and myself. All right, I said. Let's get going. It was time to enter the library labyrinth. Okay, so we ended on chapter 7. It's a nice, even place to stop.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
All righty.
Nice shot.
Nice. Yeah,
Perfect
very
timing.
good. Ending on even on
perfect timing.
the like just like the perfect touchdown spot to. Yeah, dude. Yeah. We have to do that because we're gonna do the reaction to the new episode of Slime in just a bit. So yeah, that's why we winded down so quick today. Yeah. And now we're gonna look and see who's raidable. Who's gonna be raiding? Raid's here. Raid. Yeah. It's a little sad. It's a little sad that Lumi isn't streaming by the time we get. Please be patient. I'm dumb as fuck. I saw Chelzord the Destroyer's BRB screen, and it said, "Please be patient. I'm dumb as fuck." And I'm like, God damn it, that's great.
I've seen some of her videos on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right. By the way, everybody, happy Pride Month. It's Pride Month.
Yeah, happy Pride.
Yeah, happy Pride. Whether you celebrate Pride or not, I hope you have a great month. We're starting summer this month. Like the 21st is the beginning of the summer solstice. So for all of you out there, get ready to sweat your asses off because it's going to be hot out there. I tell you, hot. But yeah, we're gonna chill.
Feeling hot.
We're feeling hot. Yeah, guys, it's Pride Month. It's not. Just remember, it's not gay to kiss your homies goodnight. So kiss your homies.
True.
All month long, you get a free pass to kiss your homies. It's totally how that works, right? The probability of a tech malfunction is high and very likely. I love her fucking BRB screen. No thoughts, only vibes and snackies. This is.
Man,
I probably have brain problems. Probably. You're gonna kiss Wawa. All right. Yeah, there's the one. Please be patient. I'm dumb as fuck. I love that. All right.
Yes.
So we're gonna go ahead and raid Chelzor, and even though she's BRB right now, her chat's still around. So we're gonna show love. Wish chat a happy dog. Have a happy dog. Just go in and say have a happy dog. Fat dog raid. I really wish I could show you guys something. I'm gonna show you two pretty soon. But I wish I could show you guys chat this thing that we've been cooking up with Waifu Wix. It's pretty cool. But you'll get to see it eventually as more things come about. And yeah, it's looking dope. So I look forward to some cool shit in the future.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited. Yes. But that being said, we will see you guys next time. There will be gaming streams throughout this week. I don't know when they're happening. And that's that.
At some point.
Yep. And
Eventually.
the raid has begun.
Yes.